Good day, everyone. I'll be talking about God in Your Migration Story, episode 3. It's been a series, and in the first two series, I talked about God creating light even before humans were made, God creating the heavens and one earth. And I also talked about, how you can use your words, to establish God's word or promises in your life. So today I'll be talking about God in Your Migration Story 3, and I'll talk about um, God's creatures and then Him making man in His own image. Thank you. So if you look at the Bible in Genesis, the Bible talked about God when He created different creatures, and the Bible talked about it that He created them according to their own kind. For instance, when He created the creatures in the sea, according to their own kind, that was what the Bible said. Even trees, they produced according to their own kind. And then before I'll talk about God creating human beings in His own image. And that's where I'm going to really bother. When you look at God creating things according to their own kind, I used to tell a friend, a lioness cannot give birth to a goat. That when I see your daughter, I know her mother because if she is strong, definitely I expect to see a strong daughter, a daughter in the image of a mother who actually shares some characteristics of a mother, not just the height or the facial, but when I talk about inner strength, I mean all of that. And sometimes we are groomed according to where we are from, and sometimes the way we see ourselves is based on our background. So when the Bible in Genesis chapter 1 verse 26 talks about, let me quote, then God said, let us make man in our image, according to our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over the cattle, over all the earth, and over every creeping things that creeps on the earth. So God, in verse 27, created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him, male and female, he created them. Before I move further. So we can see initially, it was like an intentional thing. God was like, let us, let us. And then before he actually even created humans, he created every other thing. He said, so that they can have dominion over everything. God spoke it, and then it came to being that he created man in his own image. Many times, let me ask you, when you look at the mirror, do you just see the beautiful face? Or what do you see? I want you to begin to see the image of God. And I'm glad, when the Bible was talking about the image of God, it did not say God looks like this, God looks like that, but rather image. So when you look at human beings, either, babies, adult, some people say blacks, whites, brown, any, you're seeing the image of God. So in your mind, what do you see? When you show up at places, what's on your mind? Who do you see? And when you see the image of God, there are some things you will never do. When you see the image of God, there are some things you will do because you know you are representing God, your Father. When you look at God, you know that excellence, is all about God. And so that means excellence sits on the throne of God, whose image you carry, whose image you represent. And so when you show up in places, you know you are that light carrier because your Father speaks light. He spoke at the beginning, but continuously, He is light. He is the one that dwells in the midst of light. Even in that foreign land, when you see yourself, when you show up in places, you show up as the image of God. That when people are looking for somebody that looks like God, somebody that talks like God, somebody who carries God on the inside, they can say, here she goes, here he goes, here he is, yes, and there she is. So they can point at you because you carry the image of God. Many times we forget who we are, and that's why it's so easy for people to dump their own beliefs on us. There is a concept in psychology whereby people project. I would explain that, I'll break that down. They project themselves into other people. Perhaps maybe they are struggling with some things and then they come, they harass you, they say this, and you're like, is this true? And then once you give it a thought, you can either reject it, but there are times people now embrace and they now begin to think, oh, that's who they are. So you have become identified with that person's projection of their own weaknesses or of their own character into you. You should remember whose image you represent, whose image you carry. You are that image of God, created in the image and in the likeness of God. Many times when we forget who we are, we go into crisis. I remembered when I was in the university, there was a professor then. She talked to us about identity crisis. Many people came to love this woman because of that. Even though I can't remember the specific things she said, but I remembered that word, identity crisis. When you forget that you are made in the image of God, even in that foreign land where you are, or where you are locally, or wherever, you begin to suffer from what we call identity crisis. As you know, crisis is crisis. When people go through crisis, it's like that's their end. It's like they feel that their lives have got no shape, no meaning. They can't really even say what's even going on their inside. They just become a shadow of themselves. You have not been called to be a shadow, or rather to represent that true light. So whenever you go, look at yourself in the mirror, see that image of God in you, that copy of God, the one whom God dwells in, the one who reflects God. So when you say to yourself, I am the image of God, even in this land, wherever I go, I represent God. I represent that pureness, that purity, that holiness, that strength, that character of God. So every other identity, I drop them off. Everything that is not representing God, I drop them off. So you should not have a clash of identity any longer. Even when you do, you go back to that source. You go back to the one who created you in his own image. So the mandate of God was actually for men to have dominion over everything, over all the earth. I remember in the first video, it was established that according to the Bible, that God created the heavens. Yoruba people will say Awon. And then he created the earth, one earth. So whether you are anywhere in the world, God created the earth. And his mandate is that you dominate. His mandate is that you don't chicken out. His mandate is that you stand strong. His mandate is that you don't give up. His mandate is that you subdue. His mandate is that you don't keep quiet when you are meant to talk. It's not a sign of humility. His mandate is that everything about your life begins to take form. His mandate is that there should be a mental shift in you because he sent you to the earth where you are to dominate. Don't give up. Don't lose your identity. If you think you've lost your identity, you can begin to say to yourself, wake up. Wake up. Sometimes, people just think, oh, I can't talk to myself. No, you have to. You have to say to yourself, I am the image of God. I represent God in that company. I represent God in that place, in that institution. I represent God because you have been created in the image of God. So know that you can no longer look down on yourself. Know that you can no longer think less of yourself because God did not make a less of any human being. God did not make a less of any creature. He said they should produce according to their own kind. So, according to their own kind. So, if you have been created in the image of God, you are meant to produce fruit according to your God. And so, I bring that words of encouragement to you and advice. And I pray that God will strengthen you, that you begin to shine indeed as the light of God, as the salt of the earth. Begin to give people flavors. Okay. So you can just, declare, yes, and begin to think that shift is taking place. It's a battle of words. This life is a battle of words. Thank you.